And I think tonight we will have Kim Gallo lead us in the pledge.
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses approve the minutes of the regular meeting of December 5th, 2023, and the special meeting of November 30th, 2023. Each member received copies for reviews.
Second the motion.
Okay, any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses approve the monthly reports of December. Each member received copies for review.
Second the motion.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I'm just gonna start off by saying, Happy New Year. It's gonna be a strong, great year. We've got a lot of great things going on. So, without further ado, I think we'll get right into it. We do have a special guest tonight, Walmart. I am, due to some family emergencies, I am, in charge of him, so guard him with your lives. He tends to dive for food or anything like that, so, but he looks a little tired, so.
Or board.
All right, so let's go to public comment. Either in the room, we'll start, well, either in the room or on Zoom. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment? And if you do, raise your hand, go in the chat box. We will find you. All right, second call for public comment. Jim?
Nobody.
All right, last call for public comment. All right, we will now proceed with a brief monthly ambulance report from Kyle Kelly.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. I sent out a report earlier this afternoon. If I could, Jim, I'd just like to share my screen quick. I'd like to just highlight a few things. Is that okay with you, Jim? There.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Appreciate it. Last year was a notable year. You can see right off the rip here. Number one, December was a busy month for us. We've been doing a ton of mutual aid. Doing our best to limit how much mutual aid comes into town, and that's mainly because our folks are out there, really running their butts off at times. So kudos to them. You can see our total numbers for last year, well over 5,000 calls. That includes calls both in the borough as well as mutual aid calls. You'll see in there, and I sent it out to you folks about our average, our busiest times of the week. And busiest times of the day, which was 12 o'clock during the day, and Saturdays being our busiest. But I also wanted to show just a couple of quick things. This graph here shows our mutual aid, and the orange represents how often we're going out of town, covering mutual aid calls, whether it be into the city of Waterbury or Middlebury or other towns like that. So I think that is a big a big change, and it means a lot from where we were just over 2 years ago. That was really, really flip-flopped. I think that's a huge accolades go to the folks that we have out there doing the job every day. Just some of our dispositions and what we're doing as far as transports are concerned. Some of our call types and what we're looking at and what we're seeing out on the road. Excuse me. And two more things I wanted to show everybody here, especially for some of the newer Burgesses, and we'll obviously be picking up on this soon, is our payer mix. Our payer mix in town, you can see, is very high Medicare, followed by Medicaid. And, here, and again, this is included in the report that I sent to everybody, shows the percentages here of what's typically paid. as well as what the net revenue is on those trips. And I say that because I just want to emphasize the fact that without the support of the borough that we've gotten, and the support that I've gotten from the board of directors, as well as our providers out there, if we didn't have that support, we would not be able to out there showing these numbers that we're doing, getting the ambulance out the door every time, and doing the job that we're doing. So I just want to say thank you. And I look forward to another strong year to come, and I'll see everybody soon.
Okay, any questions for Kyle?
I just have a comment I'd like to make. He highlighted the mutual aid when we go to other towns compared to when they come to help us. And we need to do that. It's our responsibility to help people, and it doesn't matter where they are, if they're sick, if they're injured, we need to help them. But look at the amount of times we go out of town. And that says a lot about the surrounding towns and what's going on. And I really think it's time, there was a task force in the state, and maybe I need to get to our state reps to say, what the heck is going on? If I live in Middlebury or Waterbury, why am I waiting for an ambulance that's not coming from the same town? Are they providing the healthcare that should be providing? This costs us money. It costs us resources. It costs us wear and tear. I mean, of course, we're happy to do it. We need to do it. But I really think it's time for a study of the surrounding towns to see exactly what's going on with EMS, why it's going on, and what needs to be done to correct it, so that each town can protect their own better than what's happening now.
Yeah, good comment, Rocky. So Kyle, why don't you prepare a request for our state representatives to look into this? Give them as much data as they need, okay?
Absolutely, will do.
But of course, we're charging for all of those visits as well, right?
Yeah.
Right. So the individual, the patients get billed depending on what type of call. If we send just our paramedic out to, say, Middlebury specifically, we have what we call a bundle billing agreement. So if we transport on their ambulance, we bill Middlebury Fire Department and they reimburse us.
But part of the issue there is that we're not always reimbursed what it costs us, especially when it comes to Medicaid. We basically lose money on those calls. And it's the bleeding, that kind of bleeding has to bleed. Good term. That has to stop. That has to stop. The state just isn't taking care of, anywhere in Connecticut, maybe in the nation, isn't taking care of EMS services and paying them what they should be paid for their calls to cover their costs. And that's the problem. I'm off my soapbox now.
I'll get on mine. I just want to commend Tick Ambulance. In my day-to-day, I deal with EMS every day. I'm always having to call them for someone. And it's always such a relief when the architect walks in, even on a Waterbury call, because I would much rather work side by side with the staff that shows up on those calls than some of the ones from the city services. So nice work, Kyle.
Thank you, Megan. Okay, last chance for a question for Kyle. Okay.
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess authorize Mayor Hess to enter into agreement with Rise Up for the Arts to design and paint a mural at the intersection of Water Street and Maple Street.
Second motion.
Okay, so as we recall, we discussed this last month. And it looks like the cost of this item is in the $27,000 range plus or minus. So I would suggest that we pass this motion to say in an amount not to exceed $30,000. And then we'll add in as approved by the borough attorney, so we can have Ned take one last look at it. But we'll be authorized to sign the template that we've been provided tonight, and we'll get it done this week so we can start the project. Does that work for you, Tony?
Without reaching the final moments again. This is capable of.
There you have it. Gotta tell your wife to stop bothering me.
It does
Hello,
have-
Anthony Jones. That is, I think that's great. I think as soon as we enter into the contract, we can start proceeding with the initial work to start putting together and filing the encroachment application, transportation, and we can assess how viable that site is and just confirm that we can move forward. But I think that's that necessary first step, confirming that we can get access to that site and making sure that there's no major problems with that site that would prevent us from moving forward. If we were to discover something, we kind of have to come back to the table and think about maybe. But I think we're all have our fingers crossed, and I think we see what that space could do for the town. So I think it's great.
All right, any questions?
Pete, I just want to make sure that when they write up the agreement, it includes that they're gonna involve local youth in the project. I don't want that part to be an afterthought, because afterthoughts don't always work out so well.
All right, take note of that, Attorney Fitzpatrick.
Aye. And how is that mechanism thought to be in place? Is it coordination with the board, is it the board, or is it a liaison that they should be talking to?
There's a couple of us that are representing the board of Burgess's
Okay,
office.
we'll make sure.
Yeah.
We'll put something.
And if I may, I'm assuming you will have some interaction with License for Arts.
I'll need some contact information.
And we can provide that, and they can provide some details about their methodology for how they work with local youth.
All right,
Pete, we have a question from the Rise Up group that's online.
okay, I mean, on this,
Yes.
okay, but just, did we vote on this yet?
No,
All right, go ahead with the question.
Yeah, all right. I was just raising my hand. This is Matt Conway from Rise Up for Arts. Just wanted to say hello. I'm here and can answer any questions. We have a lot of different ways and avenues to include not only youth, but broader community. So we've done this in over 35 towns now, and have worked with thousands of kids to help make these projects come to fruition. So I'm confident we'll be able to make something happen for you guys.
All right, thank you very much, and we'll be in touch. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, downtown development projects. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna keep this as a regular agenda item every month, so we can have, a public discussion about any aspect of our ongoing projects. And, they're all starting around the same time, some of them are underway, but let's not forget, we have a 6 separate independent projects that are starting basically simultaneously. So the DOT train station, train platform project, the Penrose Parcel B project, the Corvus Parcel A project, our Church Street, Maple Street project, which of course provides the infrastructure for the rest of the projects, and our old Firehouse Road, our new road, Water Street, Rubber Avenue, what we call the Downtown Hub project, and of course our Rubber Avenue Lotsit project. So we've created layaway areas on Parcel B, so all the projects will have a place to set up. But we are, I see Jeremy giving me the look here, but we are good to go on all projects. We're working independently with all the different engineering teams, and things are underway. So there's gonna be a lot happening. So what I'm gonna do for the next meeting, I'm gonna create a written outline summary, and we'll update it every month, talk about it, and everyone will know exactly where every project is every month. And we can talk about it here. I'm always amazed the questions I get, because I live with these projects and I know them inside and out, but I'm often surprised by some of the questions I get. So I think more public discussion on these topics is a good thing. So, we'll have it right there every month and, we'll go from there.
I think we have to be careful what's in the paper. I mean, I got probably 3 or 4 phone calls asking if the town was taking over the coffee shop on Maple Street.
You should sit in my office, Julie. I get 92 phones.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, I mean, Billy was the first one who owns a coffee shop, and I explained to him.
I don't want you to pick on Andreas here. It wasn't his.
No,
fault.
just,
But it's a good example that.
yeah.
That people, they're either totally misinformed or they read something the wrong way. But there are a lot of legitimate questions, so, we're here to serve the public, so we'll talk about them and take on all questions every month as they come up.
Yeah, I mean, it said 85 Maple Street, which was
Yeah,
the address, so you can see where he got conservative.
okay. Item 10. So this is a new topic. And, we're gonna have, a very small, presentation tonight, but, I want everyone to understand that stormwater in Naugatuck and in most towns is a huge problem. And, ever since I've been there, every year, we have been making great strides in improving our town stormwater system. And Jeremy, how much pipe do we lay on an average year, and catch basins, and what have we been doing over the last few years?
I can't give the exact number, but I can guarantee it's more than any other town around. It's a lot.
So but here's the point, we're doing a lot, number one. Number two, we also have a lot of ongoing town projects that we all know about that need work, for example, Hillside Avenue, we're going for grant money there. We've got a whole list of town projects where we are trying to improve our stormwater system. But what I wanted to bring up tonight goes beyond that. And we're gonna give you a couple of examples, but there are parts of Naugatuck, mostly in the older sections, where there are sections of town that are not part of our stormwater system. In other words, the town doesn't have easements or, the right to go in and fix things, but there are problems. And of course, the homeowners all want an immediate resolution. And for the most part, it's a private matter. But there are some that are more complicated, and I'll just say they're all different. There are probably 15 or 20 situations that we could look at. Now, we're not here to fix problems on private property, but there are some that sort of fall between the cracks. So what I want to do tonight is have Jim Stewart go over 1 or 2 situations where we're getting a lot of calls. And then I want to get some feedback from the Burgesses as to, how we should address these types of issues.
That's fine, yeah, I mean, just to start, so. How do you share this stuff? So we get a lot of, sorry, hold on. Obviously, we're getting a lot of calls about basements, everybody's basements, flooding and everyone's backyard is full of water. They become a daily occurrence, and Jeremy's hunting most of it down, so he probably be able to fill in a lot of stuff that I can't, because I'm stuck in the office. But we're getting a lot of calls from Damson Lane and Hilltop. So the water that comes from Hilltop and runs down Damson. And this developer, when they built this area, they put swales in the back of everyone's yard to collect the water as it comes down. There's also a swale that runs right through here. And what's happened is over the years, people have either filled in the swales or they haven't maintained them, trees and leaves have filled them in, and the water is is traveling down and it's may move a little bit, but it cascades over those swales, runs down the driveways. And especially in this area here, we went during the recent rains and after the rains, and there's an inch of water cascading off multiple driveways. So we're getting a lot of calls in that neighborhood. Because people also can't fix the problem, even if they wanted to, they can't go excavate their swale. Because it won't go anywhere because their neighbor hasn't excavated theirs. And they can't put in anything because there's no drainage in the road. So even if they wanted to, they said, hey, I wanna put a curtain drain, I wanna pipe my swale to the road, there's no option for it. It also creates a problem for the town because we have icing all over the road. So that's one of our issues. And as you can see, there's swales throughout the entire development. The other problem, just as an example of Homestead Avenue. Hang on a second. Which one's Homestead?
Yeah, after that, we go drain that phone call.
Different.
I know they just screaming at me.
Homestead, drainage, Homestead.
About High Street.
Not for nothing, we've had about 17% more rain this year than we have in the past.
This is the fourth most rainy year. It beat out 55 total rain for the year. That's saying something right there.
Sure.
And the fact that we have climate that has changed, weather patterns change. We have most of these places can handle normal rainfall, but they can't handle these deluges like we're getting all at once.
Yeah.
And the ground's saturated.
No control over that. He's the guy.
Zoom out though. I don't have my,
Instead of swales, have whales.
right there.
Willow trees, little summer.
There you go.
Yeah, you go the slide to the left.
I don't know.
Complain about.
It's already. They've got the normal size.
Well, then you can't make it smaller.
Sure.
Make it smaller. Perfect. So Homestead Avenue, these houses were built on a swamp. And there is, and you can see this low area in the backyard. So water comes through down the hill, off the driveways and the houses. There's no drainage in Homestead. And during heavy rains, the whole backyard's all flood. There used to be either a swale at some point or piping, that took the water down, around, and all the way to, High Street. But neighbors have let the pipes fall in to disrepair. The swales again, during dry years have been filled in. And it's the same situation. This gentleman can't do anything because what's he gonna do? Put a pipe in the ground to nowhere? So it's a situation where we've gotten calls by multiple people. Basements are filled with feet of water, not inches. And we don't have a real way of dealing with it, in this case, without going into people's backyards and simply excavating a new stream channel or installing piping.
Jim, do you know when I buy a house and it's got a swale in the backyard, does the deed or something say I need to take care of it? Is there any direction to the homeowner?
There's no easements that we aware of in that.
Every case is different.
Yes.
It should be in the deed, but a lot of these swales were done a long time ago. They're not in the deed, but it shows the swale on a map of the subdivision, which is in the deed. If you go and look at the map,
But that's,
and then you can
but
see the
that's a
swale.
common, that's a
on the map.
common thing we hear every day. No one told us that the basement floods. No one told us that there's this much water. I've lived here for whatever, 4 years. It's never flooded before. Well, that's the third or fourth wettest year on record.
But, and I understand there's a huge concern. People are not happy, but at what point do they rely on the borough to take all the liability on these particular issues that will cost not $20, substantial dollars? And that's something that you really need to,
Well, that's why we're here,
you
because
know,
like, so for example, the Charles Street area, which was our worst area. No, we got a grant, we got a small cities grant, and we fixed, I'll say, what, 2/3 of the
Well,
problem?
we're working on it.
We're working
Yeah.
on it right now. We're going for grant money for the Nettleton Ave, problem right now. And we always, try and, improve situations. But right now, there are some larger situations that impact a large number of people, where the people, I think the unique thing is they can't fix it on their own. It's not like we could say, hey, this is your problem. They don't have the ability to fix it unless they got like 20, 30 neighbors together and, went out. So the question becomes, I'm not saying what the answer is, but the question becomes whether as a town, we want to look into some of those situations. Now, some of the situations and complaints are very clearly cases where someone has a problem, it's their problem, and there's nothing the town can do about it. But some of them are, more difficult to analyze, and these two, are, situations where the people couldn't fix it themselves if they wanted to. So the question becomes, and we don't have to discuss this tonight, but I'm gonna have Jim and Jeremy look into it in a little more detail. But, as a board, we're gonna talk about, whether or not we wanna look at some of these situations.
do any,
Sorry.
do any of them fall under homeowners insurance? Number one. Number two, if the borough makes a commitment to go in, they take care of 5 or 6 backyards that are all together, is there a shared,
So it's a good question. So what, like, for example, this is just an idea. We could theoretically go dig out that swale. What was the situation you described today? And make it almost a partnership between the town and the people to get it done and help them solve
Yeah.
their problem. So,
Well, one option for Damson Lane was we could potentially put drainage in the road. And say, hey, okay, now we've given you an outlet, so now you can do what you need to do. You can run your sump pump to the road versus dumping it on the ground, causing icing. Or you can run a curtain drain around your backyard, or you can tie the swale that you have to the road if it's causing a problem. And that would just be something where the town's not going on private property and providing something that we need, which is drainage in the road eventually anyway. But that needs to be looked at. The thing about the swale is a lot of people complain about wet basements. And if you put a swale in upstream, it may solve the surface water problem. But you're still gonna have a groundwater problem, because now you got a stream that's in your backyard.
Right.
So that may help in most years, but it's not gonna eliminate your water problem. And doing that project is, it will be one hell of a project, trenching through backyards. And I'm sure there's some neighbors who are on the higher area, who have no water problem.
Right.
Because the water's discharging down someone's driveway for them, and they're like, well, I don't want a swale in my backyard, I'm not signing any easements, I'm not letting you do it. Cause then I'll have a stream in my backyard, right now I got a nice patio. So,
And as far as homeowners, the standard form, the HO3 that everybody has, it won't cover damages to the house, groundwater, surface water, water through a foundation.
Yep.
okay.
I
All
learned that.
specifically excluded
Have to
from
have an extra
policies.
flood
A hard way.
They probably can't even get it from policy, they're not,
yeah.
required to get one, it wouldn't be allowed.
I just
Julie?
think
You have a question?
No.
Oh.
it's no secret, we definitely have drainage issues in parts of town. We know that, we're working on that. I just think it's it's tough to, with how many calls that they've received to determine what's one person's responsibility, and then that opens up a whole can of worms where it's like, well, you helped this one, why aren't you helping me? Or vice versa, you know, oh, the town helped you.
You're right, but it's even more complicated than that, because all their individual situations
Are
are different.
different, right,
And are we taking on any liability by doing it?
right.
I put in a swale, I still flood, or I never flooded before.
Guarantee we will be.
If it were built today, there would be a borough stormwater pipe and we'd have easements and we'd go in and clean it out periodically, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, currently, we don't really accept developers putting private storm drainage from one house to another house because we've seen what happens, which is one person doesn't maintain it. The town, we don't wanna maintain it. No one can get in the backyards with heavy equipment to flush these things out. It doesn't make any sense.
So anyway, this is here for discussion. And I'll say one thing, that this year we've had just an incredible amount of calls and inquiries on this topic, probably more so than any other topic. So I felt that we should bring it up here and talk about it. It's a tough one.
It is, and I mean, like, doing the, what is it called, the swale? I mean, we've seen how people maintain their sidewalks on their property, so now we expect them to maintain the swale as well, like, I don't know. It's just tough.
It is hard.
Don't forget, it's the borough's fault anyway.
It is.
I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah, it's our fault.
All right, any questions on this? This is more informational at this point, but something that we will investigate further and discuss. Jim, anything else?
No,
Okay,
thank you.
okay, Jim. Sidewalk improvements.
So we put together a draft sidewalk 5 or 6 year plan, sidewalks. Yeah, you see it one. Borough with systems. Well, thank you. Yeah.
Oh, my, this thing is
Very active.
it is, let me share this.
So I worked with Jeremy, and looked at the walking routes and the conditions of the sidewalks, and tried to propose a project. Set of projects, to review anyway. And there's 2 different lists. The first list is if we get this CIF grant, that would cover, would cover, where's Scott Street? Scott Street there? It would cover this section of Scott Street. This map is hot off the press, and obviously it's not correct, of course. This section of Scott Street. So obviously, year 1, this current year, we're working on Central Avenue. Year 2, we're proposing to go to Cedar Street and Water Street, which we also have, in addition to the 6 projects that the mayor talked about, we have a pedestrian connectivity grant that we're gonna hopefully award at the end. And that project is gonna partially go along Church Street, and it's also gonna eventually do Cedar Street, but we need additional funding for that, so I've got Cedar Street in that section, and then we wanted to do just the first section of water down to Lewis Engineering. Okay, we figure if Lewis Engineering's rebuilt, they can pay for their own sidewalks, and that's the worst portion there. So that would be year 1. Year 2 would be to fall in place with the downtown improvements, would be, we would do Park Place, which is in very rough shape, and that would mean that the entire downtown would be pretty well set up. And we've included also for that year, Oak Street, I believe, Oak Street. This section is just in terrible shape and we're trying to balance out the town, side of town a little bit better. And then we would, following year, City Hill Street, going up to the sidewalks we put in years ago. That first section is in very poor condition and we've already done North Main, obviously, so we're trying to get long sections of sidewalks that are highly used in good condition. Then following year that we would transition to Scott Street, which would be, if we got the CIF grant, it would be completed already with other funds from Arch to Andrew, and we would do from Cherry up to Arch on both sides. That year, we would also do, start working up Pond Street to try to get this section of sidewalk done in the following year. Following year, as I said, we would do all of Fairview and Terrace and connect that, because this side here has already been done as well. So we're trying to make a loop and connections in areas that are highly traveled. So on the right, you can see approximately what we're guessing would be, costs at this point. Given prevailing wages and the bid numbers we're seeing. On the other map, now assuming we're not getting the CIF grant. Things changed just around a little bit. First year's Cedar Street or Central Avenue obviously is the same, Cedar Water is the same, Park and Oak is the same. City Hill, I believe, is the same, but then we would, do Scott and Pond, and then Fairview. I'm trying to find out what the difference is. Oh, Scott would be done over 2 years, that's the difference. Since there's additional, $500,000, we had to add a year and stretch the program out.
Jim, downtown, the rework of all downtown, when do you anticipate that to be complete?
It's gonna go all through this year and probably a portion of next year.
Okay.
So I would assume middle of next summer, realistically, hopefully they'll get through most of it done and be buttoning it up in the spring, maybe summer
Of 25.
of 25.
So, you have Park Place here, 25, 26.
Yes,
I would think that Park Place would be done in conjunction with what we're doing downtown so that we can get that done and then we have to worry about screwing around with downtown for the rest of life.
our thought of that is traffic's gonna be terrible. We're gonna want people to be able to have detours. And I didn't want to have another contractor working there blocking one more road downtown when they're gonna wanna have people to be able to drive down Church Street and if they've gotta close the road, take a right on Park Place.
I get it. I understand all that. Do we still want to disrupt downtown after we've got it complete in doing Park Place?
Well,
You know,
again, it's 25, 26, so that could be July.
It'll be right with it, almost following it, right? If the timelines match up, it should almost go in conjunction, that goes, then that goes. So you're killing two birds with one stone, you're not screwing up the traffic.
And then we're hoping on coming back to that year, 25, 26, and doing the downtown Church Street paving and Water Street and all those, and finishing the downtown and putting the crosswalks in and all that, so.
Part of the problem, like on Scott Street, as you're going towards the Andrew Avenue, everybody parks on the sidewalks. Because the street isn't wide enough.
Yep.
Everybody, really, everybody parks on the sidewalks.
Yes.
So, how long are they gonna last if everybody parks on the sidewalks after it's new? Maybe we need to take care of that problem.
Do you need sidewalks on both sides?
It's a good question.
Yep.
Or should there be parking on both sides?
No.
Jim, I have a question. Jim, I have a question about the estimates of money. Is this based on just poured concrete?
Based on
regular
granite,
curbs?
and concrete, my best guess.
Okay, granite
At this
concrete.
point.
I know some
Not-
areas we put that in as
It
required,
doesn't have a lot of fluff in it.
right?
It's kind of similar to the bid we just got for the downtown area, so, it's expensive. It's really expensive.
I do like the prioritization though that you have here. That a lot of these are walkways from residential areas towards business districts, towards areas where we would like to see foot traffic heading towards and folks that get patronize, you know, local establishments and so forth. So that seems consistent through all the way through the 09 plan that you have here. And that's a very good thing. And rehabilitating is the key too, because you know, a lot of people might want a new sidewalk in an area that doesn't have one.
Yep.
But the fact is, we have a lot old that we
Well-
need to get back.
I mean, that's gonna be another challenge too, is these numbers incorporate big, long sections. These sidewalks are very terrible, but in the future years, you're gonna have to say, well, is it worth repairing that? It's not really that bad. You know, do we wanna rip it up just because we're doing something really nice on either side of it, so.
So, Scott Street, go back to Rocky's comment, is that,
Well, you put brand new granite curbs, it's got 6 or 7 inches of curb reveal. It's not as easy to drive on it.
no, I understand that, but, because of the way the road is not that wide, is there a need to do sidewalks on both sides? That's the question, I guess.
That'll be the answer.
I would say most places, no. I mean, along the public works, the recycling property.
You're gonna
I mean,
incur other
there's-
costs also, moving your drainage, moving telephone poles, whether it's either side, you have to look into that, so there are gonna be costs to that too, if you were to eliminate one.
Yeah, so we gotta look at a lot of factors. You gotta look at a lot of factors, whether the need to have sidewalks on both sides, number one, number two, the road isn't that wide as it is, because it's an old Naugatuck road. And we allow people to park on the streets because they have no driveways, so all those things need to be analyzed. To make it safer. As you're driving on Scott.
That's your test.
No, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Destined for failure.
And you know, quite honestly, I think the police department should be involved with that aspect too, because they need to analyze whether there's a reason to have cars parked on both sides of that road. And yeah, granted, there are no driveways for certain houses there, so they have to park on the street. Then again, some people may have driveways and they're just too lazy to park in the driveway. I wanna park on the
True, if
street.
you eliminate one side and you push the curb back, that allows a little bit of space for people to park.
We put it on both sides and cars will park in a fire truck at through. Because that problem on a couple of streets.
So what we're trying to do is the right thing, we just wanna make sure we do it the right way. That's all.
You're gonna keep tweaking this as you go, right, Jim?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it depends on the budget, obviously.
Right.
So we'll
And then
put something
every
in the
year-
budget and the plan you can always add more for Park Place. You can see if you wanna pay for it earlier.
I have a question.
Yeah, Mike,
Hey, Jim. Hi. Jim.
Yes, sorry.
So,
Thought you were Charlie there for a second.
so this is a plan for to improve existing sidewalks.
Yes.
What happened to the plan that we talked about maybe about 2 years ago to install sidewalks where we don't have any, where they're in pretty desperate need for people to be able to get from place to place, to be able to walk? We were supposed to put that together, but it seems like it really hasn't happened.
You're correct, it has not happened, so, I mean, it's up to you guys, you want to, add sidewalks, for instance, I mean, Scott Street doesn't really have any sidewalks continuing. I mean, there's a little patch here, and there's someone's in front of someone parking in a house here, but we looked at it and said, you know, there's really nothing
you'd be wasting your money repairing sidewalks in that area because they don't go anywhere. But if you wanted to connect them, it's adds a lot of money.
Well, Mike's talking about the safety aspects, schools, things like that. So that should be part of our analysis.
Didn't we talk about Field Street having sidewalks at one time?
Yes,
Yeah,
well, I live off of Field Street.
yeah,
And from my road, Fairfield Court, which is across from King Street,
yeah,
from there down to the
gas station.
gas station down the bottom there. People walk that route all the time, and not only there, but also, they also walk to Bonner's Pond.
Yeah.
And they're walking in the middle of the street, and it's a windy road, it's very dangerous.
No, I get it, and that's the reason why we put sidewalks on City Hill, because
Yeah.
the school.
Exactly.
And I used to drive down City Hill every morning, and the people are in the middle of the road, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, at least get on the side of the freaking road. But even after you put the sidewalks in, you still got the idiots that wanna walk in the road. I mean, it's just that, you know.
And there's a couple of homes up past where I live that house disabled people. And they're walking that road all the time.
Yeah.
And because they go down to the gas station to get whatever they need.
Yeah.
And then they're up and down, and it's just a very dangerous pathway for them.
Yeah, it's a point.
Yeah, it's the one. Feels.
On my list.
All right, Jim, so you're gonna keep
Yeah,
nurturing this every month.
Absolutely. Every month. We have a break once in a while. Once in a while.
Do you feel okay, facade improvement program, hey.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, council.
This has been much easier than the sidewalk program, so. congratulations. So, since the last time we were here, we, enlisted and solicited, input from the Burgess, group, and I've received some comments, and I think we've addressed those. I'll give a little street credit here to Nancy DeMayo, who found one or two typographical errors in the document that she corrected. So whether she's listening or not, I want to make sure she gets that read. So essentially, the document remains pretty much the way it was the last time it was reviewed. Again, just by way of quick summary, the purpose is to encourage commercial improvement, reinvestment in storefronts. And it includes all properties within the TIF district, Church Street, Rebel Avenue, North Main, South Spring between Bridge and Diamond. Other locations within the TIF district, and it includes building or fire code deficiencies. Mostly also includes historical or architecturally significant properties. The committee makes the decision. Someone can apply, they have to, if their plan is approved and the amount is approved, the borough agrees to fund it, 50% up to a maximum amount of approval of $25,000 by way of a zero interest loan. It gets forgiven over a period of 5 years. Purpose of that was to ensure that there is a continuing maintenance of the facade improvement program. I think it's a really good idea. I'll give that credit to the guy with that's wearing the scarf there. That was his thought. But it does make sense. I can tell you that many communities that have adopted these programs do it in different ways. Some do it by ordinance, some do it by policies, some have do it through their various departments as a program. My recommendation to the borough is the policy that the borough adopted first as a policy. If it's something because it gives, I think, a little more flexibility as a policy. If you adopt an ordinance, at least right away without any experience, we might be coming back in a year from now trying to make an amendment. Then you have notice, publication. You don't have the flexibility you have with saying, hey, by the way, can you change this next month and let's everybody think about it. You want to make a minor modification, you have to publish it in the newspaper, or you codify, put it in this ordinance book. So more complicated process for an ordinance, so my recommendation would be, if this is adopted, that we keep it as a, board policy and as a program. And, or at least a little, see what our experience is, so we can get that. At least some thoughts.
Do we include in here the, maximum, the $50,000 maximum, so?
What we do on financing description, we will reimburse 1/2 of the total amount of the project expended and approved, not to exceed the sum of $25,000 per approved project, so it's half
Okay,
the
so-
price of that.
It's in there by implication.
In other words, the borough's share will not exceed $25,000, is what it says, per approved project. Again, but that's based on the committee's view too, so the committee may or may not decide that the 50,000 is merited and the half may not be 25. That's up to the committee.
So, well, any questions for Attorney Fitzpatrick? Great. Are we gonna vote on this tonight? Is it ready?
I would, it's ready, I believe it's ready the way it's drafted, and I think it should be, if it's adopted, it should be adopted, as I mentioned, as a policy or a program of the borough. And if it works well and we think it's implemented in a fashion that's an orderly and consistent way that poses no difficulties for the next couple of years, then perhaps maybe an ordinance, but I do not suggest doing it as an ordinance, at least right away.
Okay, so remember, this is funded by our tax incremental financing, money. So do we want to set an amount to start the program with, you know, for example, $300,000 or something like that?
I think that's up to the Burgesses, but again, paragraph 1 of the financing.
Well, we are the Burgesses, so, let's, what are we gonna do?
But that's one of the points of the flexibility. You might decide in fiscal year 24, 25, you're gonna make 300,000. It may do so well that the next year you can change it to 350 or reduce it to 250 or make it 400. There may be a matching grant.
Well, hold on, we really can't, we have a TIF management committee with 2 Burgesses on it, so I think that committee should get input from the borough board as to, I'll say at least the starting point. Doesn't have to be tonight, I think we could implement the policy tonight, but at some point, we're gonna have to say, we're gonna start it with, say, for example, $250,000. And then the TIF management committee would set that aside and, manage the money accordingly. And Charlie and Dorothy are on that committee.
How do you proceed in educating the businesses that this program is now alive? And what happens when you have 20 of them show up and they want, and now you got a $200,000 amount and it's nowhere near to take care of,
Right.
you know,
Well, that's why,
4 people. Yeah.
that's the question.
Yeah.
The answer is what number works to make all that happen.
Before we start that, the last time that we spoke about this, we talked about, and I think it was you that said we weren't gonna include fire code or,
We're not.
okay, well, it's right here,
I
eligible
thought you
interior
took that
building
out.
improvements. It's not on, it's on page 4,
No,
at the top of the page, eligible expenses.
I thought this was for this.
The priority does include the interior improvements for building the fire code.
No, it's not supposed to.
Right, okay, that's what I thought.
Believe that, that's number 2 on page 2.
Number 4, page 4, eligible interior building improvements.
No, the idea is for the exterior facades to look better than they look.
I didn't think we're doing anything interior.
Right, that's my point. Yep.
Well, the point to the interior was in case anything that the facade affected inside would have to be fixed also.
Well, that's not fire code.
Yeah.
You can change the front of the building and it won't affect the fact that you don't have sprinklers in there.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, you want to,
But it could affect the usage.
Well,
What we'll do on page 4 is suggest we.
if we're directly connected, I have no problem with
We'll
it.
exclude
I don't think,
interior.
that is not what this says.
Yeah, we never hit sprinklers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if a business can do a little sheet rock and painting on their own, not a lot of money.
So,
So if that's a consensus in the sense of how we want to do it, page 2 would eliminate material improvements, and then on page 4, I would add that those material improvements are ineligible.
right,
That's how I would, that's why I just suggest.
can you write that out and leave it here?
I'm sure.
And have Burgess Gallo approve it before it's handed to me.
You bet. Are there any other comments or changes or modifications?
Well, you're right, Bob, because advertising, promoting it,
A
when,
lot.
how, and then that's gonna lead to a whole host of,
Well, do we have like an estimated like number of businesses in this district?
you won't know until you do it.
Put it out there.
you know,
Yeah, put together a flyer
No, I know, like, until we put it out there, we don't know who's gonna take advantage of it, but do we have like I'm sure we have a number of what businesses exist in this district.
Oh,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a lot of,
Right,
yeah.
I mean, every business on Church Street.
I'm just like trying to, you know,
You got church made.
figure out.
Yeah, I mean, there's,
It's a guess, it's an estimate,
Okay,
that's all you can do.
And will some need more than others?
Yeah,
yeah,
I
right.
think you gauge interest and then make changes as you need to.
Agree.
well, do we have the ability as that group to say, okay, we're gonna put X amount of dollars in from the TIF, 300,000 for an example? And then if you have a lot of people that come and approach us on this, and you need another 500,000, you know, at what point do you say, do we add that, or do we put it into the next year? For you to apply for this? I don't know.
So that's a decision the committee can make, but the language is up to $25,000. That doesn't mean 1/2 or 25,000. That doesn't mean if the improvement is 40,000 that you have to give 20. You could say, look, we think we're able to provide you with $12,500 instead of 20,000. Will that be sufficient to ensure that you'll make these improvements? I mean, that's something you could negotiate with. It's a maximum is the 50%. Just a thought.
But when
And they're businessmen,
when
so
people see 50%, they're gonna expect 50%. Even though it says up to 50%. That's, if somebody's going in, they're gonna spend 50 grand on an improvement. They're gonna say, the town's gonna give me 25 of that 50, which is beneficial to them. That's just,
but then
You know.
does each individual project have to be reviewed and approved, like,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
each one does.
so that project
Yeah, right.
might only actually cost 12,000.
Right.
So then,
It all depends on what they're doing.
Mm.
As long as it's done consistently.
all right, do you have
Yeah,
the
I'll write it
document?
So we've never done this before.
No.
So what we come up with, and you do a flyer that explains it, if they have to wait a little while, they've never been offered anything, so waiting won't kill them.
No,
I mean, I hate to be, I'm not trying to be
Right,
obnoxious,
we
but
can-
really.
adjust it as it moves
I
along.
still live here 100 years.
Yeah.
Wait another 100 years.
There you go.
I mean, the minutes from last one say.
So, do you have the document?
I'll write it out in one moment for.
Well, I wanna vote on it right now, so.
Yeah, come on,
Just
move
that
it.
second bullet on page 4.
That's why you make the big bucks.
Read my hand yet? It'll be fine.
Yeah.
How long did I teach? I can read everybody's handwriting.
So they didn't get the drum off.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I never did that.
Ineligibles, interior improvements.
Mhm.
And then I pressed that.
Okay, but on page 4,
Where's the whole thing?
okay, but this all says that it's eligible. And so you'd have to cross this section out entirely. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, those sections.
I thought the comment was that the fire protection was.
Yeah, no, I know.
Because we were grabbed by the thing.
Chief, if you look at the minutes from last month, meeting, there's a bit of removal. In the draft for businesses to make internal improvements.
Right.
I know.
That's right. It
I
should
can't
be
believe
here. Now.
Next out that section on the top of the.
And on the top of page, and there's a bullet on, page 2,
The bullet.
Yeah, we have the.
interior.
Let's do this. We're gonna table this, get it so it's accurate, get Kim to approve it, and then we'll come back to this item and entertain a motion.
It's in
Okay, well.
twice.
All right, so let's come back to this, when we do this, we'll come back to it. All right,
I know.
so where are we?
13, ready to move?
Yeah.
Motion on the Board of Mayor and Burgesses approve the reappointment of Christine Kaczynski, 310 North Hoadley Street, as a member of the Board of Assessment Appeals, term to expire January 1st, 2027.
Second motion?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses approve the reappointment of Mary Lou Sharon, 228 Lewis Street, as a regular member of the Conservation Commission, term to expire November 1st, 2025.
Second motion?
Discussion?
Okay, sure. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses approve the appointment of Jan J. Mazeski, 106 Woodbine Street, as a member of the Park Commission, filling the unexpired term of El Ramos, term to expire June 1st, 2025.
Second motion?
Do we have any discussion on item 15?
What do we know about this guy?
I don't know.
Just glad he's staying involved. Aye.
All those in favor? Opposed? So I will gladly appoint Anthony Jones, 196 Field Street, Naugatuck, as a regular member of the Arts Commission, filling the unexpired term of Janice Dambowski, term to expire 4/1/2024. And I'm also happy to appoint Gary Spring, who's in the audience, as a regular member to the Arts Commission, filling the unexpired term of Val Doty, term to expire 4/1/24. So congratulations, Anthony and Gary, and we appreciate your hard work, and you know, we look forward to an expanding Arts Commission, and this is just the beginning of a beautiful friendship. So let's keep it all rolling, and we'll make Naugatuck a little more beautiful and artistic as we go.
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses authorize Mayor Hess to sign a design agreement with Jakunski Humes Architects LLC, 50 Maserio Drive, Berlin, for schematic design, cost estimating for new central dispatch facility at the Naugatuck Police Department, as recommended by the Standing Building Committee.
Second motion?
Okay, Bob, do you want to say anything?
Other than, the company is, they specialize in this type of, stuff with police and fire. So we thought that they were the best people to move forward with this design. Design is to give us, get us some, close to some hard numbers on what the actual cost of everything is gonna be, what they're trying to do at the police station. I don't know if, Allison wants to speak anything on the money, and or if Colin, wants to speak at all on it.
For a little
This is-
background on why it's needed.
Central Dispatch.
Yes.
Colin?
Sure.
I'd be honored to stand between you two.
So basically, the rundown on this is it's a project or a schematic that we're asking for to try to get an upgrade as well as a centralization of our dispatch. So the theory is that we have the hardware, we have the infrastructure already in place at the police department to theoretically upgrade the town's dispatch center and at one point or another, move it into one centralized location. We could do this hopefully for the most minimal cost possible to the borough, in the long term. However, our concern is we've, tried to do this several different ways on our own with getting some cost estimates from Norcom, for example, with the radios, working with, other town officials like Jim here to get some IT costs. Our primary concern though is the engineering. We're concerned about the HVAC systems, about, the facilities in the building, whether or not changing any of these things around with, moving around the building could cause us some issues in the long term. So, we feel that a specialist does need to come in here, and once we have those costs, we have that in place, we can actually, come back with a, how much money this project is going to cost in the long term.
So the project is more than central dispatch.
So that the centralized dispatch would go into one room. And we would have what's called a dark dispatch center, so we would have a shifting around of our public access to the police department. There's also a goal here is that our community room or our training room will be public access. So that's something we're looking long-term to try to have the public have access to the building when we have police commission meetings, outreach events. Because currently, you have to walk inside the building, you have to get buzzed in. It's not friendly, it's not accommodating to the public. And we're looking to shift around the setup of the police department, and that would also be a component of this.
So is the contract here? Is it in my package?
I have a copy of it.
Yeah, could I see it? I mean,
It's not a copy you signed, but I have a signature on it.
what?
I mean, it's the same one you signed, it's not the exact same one.
So where would the central dispatch be?
Would be
It
in
would be in the training room, correct?
the training room is now, a little bigger room. The training room would then move to the records division, which has that public access. If you walk in the building to the right.
Yeah.
Well, again, a larger room for community events. We could even host more things, and being public access, we could walk off the back door into the PD. We've always wondered, do people have to have escorts when they're going back there? Not necessarily the police commission, but
Yeah.
With it being in the center of the building, letting people in, which is, it's been a concern for a long time. Because in our records room, as you've seen it, it's massive. We only have 2.5 people working in it, utilizing much less paper than they did in the past. And they would move into the dispatch.
So the dispatch center you have right now can't be moved, it would have to be all new?
No, a lot of, the infrastructure would be new, the furniture basically, I think the biggest, other than redoing the room, there'd be cost for furniture, which that's the one hard quote that we can get. That's on off the rack type thing. But moving, and then there's a cost for Norcom and some construction costs to move the wiring and everything to the back. But a lot of the screens and a lot of the technical infrastructure is already there.
And there was, when it was built, I seem to remember there was an extra console that was put in because the future was supposed to be
There's three, yeah.
putting things together, all of the dispatching in town. And who knows if that'll ever happen, but that'll still be the same thing. There'll
Be
be
the same right now, looking forward towards expansion, having the room for it.
And right now, do you have two different consoles? One is digital, one isn't?
No,
No?
they're all good. The expansion for 3 consoles, we have 2 consoles that are both digital.
Oh, okay.
Console.
Just because I listen, and sometimes I can hear the dispatcher, and sometimes I can't.
And we do that intentionally.
Hey.
For you.
And Rocky, one more thing too, is the building where this is, it's been a long-term plan too, so every IT upgrade we've been doing, we have been placing, like server racks, conduits and everything else have been shipped into that back of that building. And they are all being run out of that building throughout town with the intent that at some point in the future, all we'll need to do is the hardware will be switched over, so there has been planning for this, it is a long-term goal, but we're at the point now we're coming to and saying, we need to get some hard numbers for you to make some decisions about what direction the borough wants to take this in the future.
Because these guys are not the experts in that field. That's why we're hiring this company who's an expert in that field to put us in the right direction. And
But Colin, this design agreement only relates to dispatch, not to some of the other things.
No, it would relate to that
Not what it
moving around.
says.
Because the problem is that we are, when we move the dispatch center from its current location to the back, we're concerned about the HVAC in that room because it's currently in a unoccupied/occupied, and it's also technically underground too. So the humidity levels and the
it would have an effect, and that's stuff that we really have tried to wrap our heads around, but we keep hitting a brick wall on how to handle that. And then moving like I said, the other things around aren't as heavy as the lift because their use is gonna be pretty consistent with what they are now. But that
Well, the project is to build a new central dispatch facility with whatever is necessary to make it happen, correct? Is that correct?
yes.
Okay.
And the majority of the rest, like the records is now, dispatches now, but then still records are going to where dispatches now.
Yep.
I mean, that's like you have an empty room, you can move all your records into it.
75,
And
maybe
you're gonna
more
have
percent of
another-
it is going into dispatch, like.
Right.
We were able to get some quotes, furniture being one, Norcom come in and say, okay, it would cost $25,000 to move the wires. But I don't know if you have the ceiling, I don't know if you have the pipes that are, I don't know if they're full, you might need.
Raising the floor.
Raising the floor to be able to put the wires underneath instead of going through the ceilings, I don't know if you have the room. These are all things, now, do I have to go to a general contractor? Everything's gotta work together.
And you
When somebody bring all that
basically,
together.
like they're saying, you have basically an unoccupied room now that, you know, but once you put all this electronic equipment that's gonna, you know, create heat, generate heat. Now, that might present another problem.
And there would be room to do a third console if we ever got to that point?
I think there'd be room for at least 3 to 4.
Theoretically, this would have the capacity to accept a much larger facility, centralizing all of the boroughs.
It's gonna be done in a way where it could be expanded.
Absolutely, correct. That, we've been insistent on that since the beginning of the project.
That was a concern with the standing building committee, that we have it so it's large enough for future.
Sure.
Which is why that room would.
What was that?
It's been discussed for many years.
Yeah, actually been discussed when Mindy Fergoso
That's
was
right,
at Burgess.
that's right.
She pushed for this full-size dispatch for the town for years.
That's all,
Just saying.
for all the reasons,
Are you saying it or are you just saying it?
just saying it. Just saying it. Throw it out there.
All right, any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion on the Board of Mayor and Burgess waive the bid for the PCB remediation of the gymnasium floor at the Recreation Building, 607 Rubber Avenue, aka Armory, and award the work to Spectrum Environmental LLC in the amount of $37,320.08, subject to final approval of travelers insurance.
Second the motion.
Or a motion and a second. Jim, why are we gonna waive the bid?
We had a couple of months ago, a sewer spill and the main line plugged up and collapsed and over the weekend and flooded the floor and public works went out there. We fixed the sewer, dried it out, but the entire, floor buckled. We got multiple quotes, and went back to them to get prevailing wage rates. Included, Gugliotti was the only company that responded with a like product. Everyone else was recommending, one person was gonna give us a kind of wood floor, kind of weird thing. Another person was gonna give us a thin wood floor that couldn't be refinished more than once or something. So, and he's the only one that came back with a quote that was prevailing wage. And he's also the guy that we've worked with, several times to refinish the floor, the high school floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as, sorry, I'm talking about the wrong bid right now. Spectrum we got three quotes, the other two were $125,000 and $136,000. So they were much lower. We checked the references and came back positive, they did what we need to do. And the insurance company is currently reviewing. They're still wanna know why we can't patch the floor. But it's, if you've seen it, it's.
Jim, it's buckled like this.
Yeah, all throughout.
Yeah.
But they're heading along, I've got, trying to get some meetings set up with USI and them to try to push them.
So Travelers is most likely gonna approve these numbers.
If they don't, then I'll be back here, but I wanted to get, it's been quite a while, I wanted to get this going as quickly as possible, so when they do, I can move ahead.
So you covered 19 and 20 in your discussion.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we have the coverage for the remediation through travelers? They're gonna cover that, all of it?
Well, they haven't said yes.
Oh, yeah, they haven't said a denial on it yet.
They haven't denied it. They're, with their last comment was, we want to make sure it can't be patched.
It can't be patched.
No.
Oh, it's obviously can't
Okay,
be patched.
simple.
No.
That's,
Last thing I sent him, we sent him revised pictures and the thing is that they know that it's been patched in the past. But it was patched when we bought the building, because it was a small little area, the size of a desk.
Yeah.
There was a problem, and it was patched one other time when someone left a cooler, sweated on the floor, and we got a little bump, and they got that back down. This case it's not the same.
did they pick up the cost of the backup of the sewer?
You mean the cleanup?
The cleanup or whatever, didn't you?
No, we did it ourselves, so.
Okay. Was
But
there,
but we also having claimed for some karate mats that we're replacing. So there's some other costs. We still actually have to add the cost of the dumpster, we have to cover.
You still have a $10,000 deductible?
That's what I understand.
And this isn't a pre-finished form?
No.
Good. Good. Wonderful.
they land?
Well, also the other question is, they were having is, how do we know we're not gonna come back and again and again and again? And the answer is this is the first sewer problem we've had there. And the other problems were a roof leak, which the roof was replaced and fixed, and the other one was an incident with a cooler. And the existing floor is a floating floor, so when it buckles, it can travel around. The new floor would be nailed like a hardwood floor on a subfloor, so it can't easily
Move.
heave. I mean, certainly it can get damaged, but it could be repaired or sanded and.
Yeah.
I always get nervous when I hear somebody is like $100,000.
Cheaper, yes.
Yeah, that
Yes.
always makes me nervous. Have we?
Yeah, we called, and we
Yeah,
asked, and we
yeah.
went through their proposal
Yeah,
with Tim Carr, our guy, and he knows them, and
Okay,
they said yes, so.
okay, that's all I need to know. I just had to ask that
As
question.
long as you get insurance from them and their licenses and everything,
Yeah, oh, yeah, sure.
but yes.
Okay.
All right, any questions on 19? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that Board of Mayor and Burgess waive the bid for the replacement of the gymnasium floor at the recreation building, Rubber Avenue, AKA Armory, and award the work to Gugliotti Associates, Plansville, Connecticut, in the amount of $142,000, subject to final approval of travelers insurance claim.
Second the motion.
Motion and a second, same discussion, right, Jim?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess approve the bid of contract fiscal year 24-B063 for bituminous surface treatment, crack sealing to seal coating, DBA Indus, H25 Granite Street, Braintree, Mass. As per bid, as recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart.
Second the motion.
Contract shall commence upon vendor completing all of our requirements and the purchase order is received by the vendor.
All right, we have a motion and a second, Jim.
Okay, we received two bids, one from Gorman Group LLC and one from Seal Coating Inc. The bids, so the summary of all the work did come out less expensive, just for complete, openness for seal coating. The bid quantity for the surfacing is significantly cheaper, with Gorman Group. The issue is Gorman was the company that did the general Dalton neighborhood, whatever it
Oh,
was.
yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
And
Disaster.
the problem with this material is that it's not like asphalt where someone's making it in a plant and you're buying it, you're putting it down. It's actually getting made in the back of the truck. They're adding the asphalt, they're adding the emulsion, they're adding the stone. And we really have no way to be there making sure that it's exactly mixed the way it should be, that they're not shorting one item or the machine's not working.
Yeah.
I spoke to our guys, and they're not comfortable, and I am not either, trying to mix up the units and use the microsurfacing from one company and the crack sealings from the other company to try to get the project to come in, under budget or under the bid, given the history we had with Gorman. So that, my recommendation is we stay with seal coating, for this year as well.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Maine Burgesses authorize Controller Allison W. Bruce to refund the following tax refunds approved by Tax Collector James Scoggin as a read.
Motion.
We have a motion and a second. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, public comment. Second, public comment. First call for public comment in the room or on Zoom. Jim?
No one.
Second call, public comment. Last call for public comment. Right. Mayor and Burgess comments.
You do have the agenda.
We got it then.
Oh, yeah.
Do I do it first or after or what?
What would you like to do, Grant?
Do it first. Whatever your heart desires.
Let's go to the addendum.
We have to
Well,
go back
first of
to
all-
Kim's thing too.
Yeah, is that ready?
It's ready, Kim hand.
Okay, it's all set?
It's all set.
Can I, would you hand it to me? please?
Absolutely.
All right. So we will, now what number are we on, Rocky?
Well, we're going back to 12.
Number 12?
Amend this one. We're going to sign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
all right, going back to item 12, I will entertain a motion that the Borough of Naugatuck implement a facade and building improvement program policy as prepared by Attorney Fitzpatrick and as modified this evening in the paragraph on program priorities, as well as the deletion of a paragraph on eligible interior building improvements. And the reference to interior improvements as ineligible.
So moved.
We have a motion, Julie?
Make a motion to accept that?
Well, we have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kim, you're satisfied that these issues have been addressed?
Yes.
So Nancy, I have the original document in my hand that will become the policy of the borough. And let's remember that we can tweak this, work with it, and just make it something that we can continue to improve upon as we go. Questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Maine Burgesses add to the agenda Burgess liaison appointments.
Second motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
See you all.
Oh, I didn't see it. So, is everyone happy with it? Is there anyone who's not happy with it? I guess is a better question.
Well, I
Mike?
communicated with Nancy this afternoon, to add me to, the LEPC LEMAC commission. So if you want something down for that,
Okay, NEMAC,
LEMAC and LEPC.
what's the second one? Oh, yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mike Bronco, NEMAC. All right. So, I will make, the appointments for Burgess liaison, positions as if read, including that Burgess Bronco will be our NEMAC LEPAC representative.
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses add to the agenda a motion to approve the bid for the downtown community connectivity bike and pedestrian improvements.
Second motion.
Okay, Jim? Connectivity,
Okay, so we have to make a motion first, we have to add it to the agenda first, vote on
oh, yeah. Thank you, Rocky.
that. That's okay, it's my motion.
That is my first mistake with twenty.
It is. We just have to vote on adding it to the
We
agenda.
keeping a tally this year?
Yeah,
Just that one, right?
well, we'll see how we go, you know.
I'm not keeping it. We need it all.
All right, so all those in favor of adding it to the agenda,
Aye.
opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses approve the bid for contract fiscal year 24-P065 for the downtown community connectivity bike and pedestrian improvements to Priority Landscaping, Brookfield, Connecticut, in the amount of $391,017 for the base bid and $112,777 for the ad alternate. The ad alternate work shall be subject to additional funding made available in the fiscal year 25 budget as recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart.
Second motion.
Motion and a second, Jim.
Okay, so this project would go from Division Street up Church Street to the Water Street intersection there. Not every inch of sidewalk gets replaced, but the bad sections get replaced. We would be getting some decorative lighting bases and light pole, or it's to be conduit wiring, so we can electrify it in the future. Or electrify it and put light poles on there in the future. We try to keep it within the budget. We have a grant of right now of $399,735. So my plan would be that would cover the cost of the Church Street work. The ad alternate will take us about halfway down Cedar Street. That's what we discussed about earlier in the sidewalk project. That's why I'd be requesting the additional money from the sidewalk plan for this fiscal year. I spoke with the contractor and they're amenable to doing the work in July. If they aren't, then we'd have to find another contractor to do that work and we would hire them for the order.
Okay.
So this is an ongoing grant.
This is
If
actually,
this goes well, we can actually put in for another one.
this is
Now,
an additional project I'll have to.
yes, exactly, one more. And you can talk about the Cherry Street project too on and on, so.
But that's not downtown.
There's still
All right,
that bond.
questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses add to the agenda a motion to approve a change order to a contract with the State Park.
Julie?
Second motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses approve a change order to the contract with Rampage LLC, Stratford, Connecticut, for additional $15,000 that is in the budget for extra poured concrete at the skateboard park.
Second motion.
Excuse me. By the way, I'm not sick. I have, allergies. I don't know what I'm allergic to,
Maybe dogs.
Yeah.
but, oh, I hope not.
Right, wouldn't cheat that, Jim.
So Jim, what is this?
Okay, so, when we were building when Rampage was building and the public works was assisting and leveling it, became quite apparent how busy it was gonna be. The area where the sunshade is now and the park bench, that was originally gonna be a grass area. And we realized that two things were occurring. One, everyone was saying, God, you're gonna need shade out here. And the second thing, it became apparent that we couldn't just put the park bench on top of grass, because it wouldn't get caught and it would get destroyed over the years. So we had, Dave, pour some additional concrete. Jeremy, he did the leveling. We bought the posts separately, the sunshade separately. So that the borough worked, but it made sense to us to have him and pour the concrete. So this was the rate, extrapolated from the rest of the park. The project was authorized, the entire skateboard park was authorized for $300,000. Original contract with Rampage was $250,000. There's $43,000 remaining in that account. So after this 15, there would be whatever, $18,000 that's not planned to be expended out of the
So
account.
we came in under budget.
Yes, the whole project came under.
All right, questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There, we just comments? Emily? Emily? No, here, I need you to get me a glass of water.
I hope he tips well.
I'm not sure. What do you want, water?
Just fill this with
Oh, all right.
water from the pool. Yeah.
They got the new solar out there, for the bottles.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
if you have any bottles you need to fill,
Respect.
they got to fill it up.
And that,
What you gotta do?
That's better.
I don't know what to do.
All right,
Public comment?
yeah. I'm deciding who's gonna go first.
Came and went.
What?
Public comment came and went.
Yeah, that might be-
Already did it already?
Silence was deafening.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, we did.
Yeah,
that.
on, Burgess comment.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
My
right,
first mistake of the year.
yours?
Oh. You only allow two.
Okay, Kim.
Oh, I think I've said enough.
Okay, next.
You're done.
Thank you, Ned, for listening to me. I appreciate it.
I
Okay,
appreciate your
Charlie.
comments and making it known, it's good.
Nothing new to report, guys. We haven't really had any meetings yet, but obviously we know what's going on with the Arts Commission. As they have came and presented tonight, looking forward to hearing more about their summer concert plan, which is gonna be coming together at their meeting on the 16th of this month. I do want to highlight, we all received a letter, an invite to Timothy Garing's Eagle Court of Honor.
Yes.
So I hope that you're able to make it. It'll be at the Congregational Church on the 19th
That's a
of
Friday night.
January. I believe it's a Saturday, yeah. And
What is it?
Eagle Court of Honor,
No, what night?
19th is
The 19th.
Friday.
Oh, it is.
Friday, yeah.
It's a Friday, yeah.
Nineteenth at 6:00.
Yes. So at the Congregational Church, it's a big honor and he's a great kid, a good citizen here in town, as a young man, he's done a lot here in town, connected to youth sports. His Eagle project was finishing the equipment storage area and building shed at Union City's lower field, which had fallen in a great disrepair, had to be replaced. The replacement process stopped during COVID when the high school group was doing it. And Tim took that upon him to finish up the walls, the roofing and the siding of the entire building. So it was a great way to give back to community and he gave back to the league he was a member of for many years. All around great kid, wonderful family, and recognizing the fact that only 4% of kids who go into scouting make it all the way to Eagle. So he's one of the elite that was able to finish and do that. So
That's great.
kudos to Tim and
And by the way, the Burgesses, if you've never been to an Eagle Court of Honor, you should go.
It's
They're
awesome.
very cool events.
Yeah, very impressive. And it should be.
Yep. Thank you. Mike? Julie?
I went to the Housing Authority meeting. very efficient. I mean, the only thing to report is obviously they need more housing and
Which, spot was it this time?
where,
Which location?
oh, was that hut?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, obviously they're in need of housing for the elderly, which hoping downtown will help that. Also on daycare, they haven't met yet, but I talked to the director and I wouldn't even go near there during Christmas time, so I'll see them in January. Kim and I went to the, senior center for the Christmas party, so I could do that too.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, which was good, yeah, yeah. And also our trades program should start classes in January 24th, I think is the beginning.
So anytime, okay, we could always bring that up with Burgess,
Yeah.
but anything, if you ever need anything, tell me so we can
We
Okay,
will.
deal with it.
yeah.
Yeah, we will.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you. Megan?
Not much to report, although we did, the four, Dorothy, Julie, and Kim, and myself, met with the
Mural.
Rise Up, and that, we had that collaboration meeting. One of the youth was also involved in that meeting, which was really nice, Alex Crusoe. It was really great, you know, to kind of get together. We talked about a bunch of different ideas. I think it's gonna move along pretty well, nicely. It was a successful
Yeah.
meeting, I think.
Were you, impressed with the artists that they're talking to?
We didn't talk too much about the artists at this meeting. It was more ideas, and then they're gonna present our ideas and suggestions to the artists and kind of find the best fit.
Yeah.
Based on kind of the route we're thinking for the design.
I like the way they included the young man who attended
Yes.
in the conversation. They went back to it and made sure that they had his ideas for the mural and his vision for it as well.
And I may be biased, but I've known Alex for a very, very long time.
Oh, okay.
So I know he's a great person to have input on this. He's very talented.
Mhm.
They're longtime Naugatuck residents, just a great family all around, so.
And I think we were all in agreement to
Well, who
do
was that?
something.
Alex Caruso?
Yeah.
We were in agreement to do
That's great.
something from
Yes.
early Naugatuck to
Mhm.
now. So.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it was a good exchange of ideas.
Yeah, it was really nice to kind of
I
have
liked,
us
I
all.
liked your idea too.
Thank you.
We talked about
That was awesome. Yeah.
how to incorporate that in using the river as the timeline,
Yeah,
which is good. And then we figured we had to at least put the Greyhound in there somewhere along the way. But, you know, it really talks about the, you know, the Industrial Revolution and where we started to where we are today. So,
Mhm.
I guess the big key thing is that they can actually use the trestle and the walls.
So what about the Native Americans? Isn't that where we started?
Yep.
Well,
Yes, no,
yeah,
that was
Yeah,
part
we
of
talked
the
about that.
conversation as well.
Okay.
yeah.
Um,
Well, if you've ever taken a PLCI class, you always start with the, you know, the honoring of the Native Americans to begin with. That's kind of a big ode.
so I think it was, you know, it was vital tonight that we did that approval, so they can start that encroachment application, because really nothing else can be done until that application
Right.
is sent in. So I think, as long as all that goes as planned, I think that's gonna be a really nice, cool area down there.
Mm.
With a lot of input from the community, so.
And then we also talked about how we would incorporate the youth artists in town and what their role would be in helping to illustrate the mural as it moves forward. So we really made a great emphasis in making sure that they were included in what they were gonna be doing. The youths, yeah.
yeah,
2 youths.
2 years.
Is that your report or is that a
Well, it's-
supplement to Megan?
Supplement to Megan, yes.
I'm all set, that's all I had so far.
In addition to the mural committee, I also attended my first, police, commission committee thing, as a liaison. And what I liked about that whole thing is, you know, they talked about all of the things that they've done, you know, for the department. But what I liked is the fact that they got letters from, people in town who basically wrote very positive feedback. And I thought it was really good how they shared that in the committee, so I thought that was good.
Brian,
Not much to report, we just completed writing new basic emergency operation plan for the town. Submitted to, Department of Emergency Management, Homeland Security, and just waiting for, their feedback on it.
we have to adopt that here,
No,
we just do it?
Just do what they say.
They approve it or?
they approved it.
Okay,
I submitted. You'll, once we get the feedback from them, you will approve it. The CEO, based on state statutes, that's chief elected official, or in some cases, chief executive official of the town approves it. Based on what I wrote, it's the basic plan, not including the annexes and the attachments and addendums, approximately 393 pages long. And it's in their hands now.
okay,
And it has to be updated on a constant basis. They just came out with a new template they wanted this past year. So we basically had to start from scratch. And, it includes lessons learned through COVID and what we plan to do to go forward, which was actually a simple one, is we plan not to get caught with our, hanging out like the state, okay? Like the state and the federal government, they caught so many times last year. And it's been, pretty much noted, and all the reviews you see and all the, and analytics that you see based on, how we address COVID, that we did a great job addressing it. But as a country, we could have done better. And it has to do mainly addressing the everyday needs, the supplies, the PPEs, the personal protective equipment, which the state had a stockpile of them. But I sort of refer back to, back when, well, some of us were in school a long time ago, and in the basements of schools, used to see these green 55-gallon drums that said civil defense on it. And, well, basically, and on skids, this is what the state had for masks and PPEs. They had a good supply. But if we all remember initially, what we were getting was very outdated masks. We had to put new elastics on them and so forth. And it's just lessons learned. And, when you do your after action report on the situation or incidents, whether it be a small one, like, I don't know, not necessarily small, but, incidents on an everyday nature, small fires and so forth. When you do your after action report, part of it is what did we do right and what did we do wrong? And that's how you learn. And that's what this part of the document, the new annex to the emergency operation plan, was what did we do right, what we do wrong during COVID. And that's a section of itself. And Jim had some input as far as this cybersecurity, just a draft plan of the cybersecurity, which is it's an emergency operation plan does not get down into the nuts and bolts of the situation. You're more of a 10,000-foot view and how you could deal with everything, but have it flexible enough so you could use it in different types of situations.
It's kind of like the business continuity plan.
Yes, it has the business continuity plan and, continuity of government and so forth. And, it is how the police department runs, but not how they respond to every call. Generally speaking, how the fire department, generally speaking, what they do, the types of incidents they respond to. So it's, a comprehensive plan. Like I said, the basic plan, which I just completed, which doesn't have all the annexes in it yet. It was about 393 pages. And now we'll work on updating all the annexes, which is probably another 2,000 pages.
Sounds like a lot of work. Thank you.
And also part of that is the school security plan, which is a restricted document, which is, that alone, is about 3,000. But that's done by, the school department.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds like fun.
Bob,
I talked to some of my eyes goes.
Rocky,
On Tuesday, the 16th, 5 to 8 at Jesse's, the Exchange Club is having a pesta dinner.
I have
$10.
tickets. I have tickets if anybody wants them.
And lastly, on Wednesday, the 24th at 5:30 at the area, they're throwing somebody a bone with some award or something.
Oh, yes.
yeah, what's the date?
24th,
24th.
Wednesday.
You can go online and get tickets. Mm-hmm.
Already did, long ago.
So did I.
Doesn't overpriced for what it is, but you know.
It's a nice place.
At first they
How are
said
you?
Thursday the 24th, and then they corrected.
All right,
Mm.
let's go to
You're gonna be there,
item
Ned?
25.
Might show up.
Motion to reset to reset.
Wow.
Motion to recess to executive session at 8:46. For discussion on the following, real estate parcels A, B, C, Y, and Z, Mountain Industrial Park, Section 3, acquisition of land for downtown parking, 30 Church Street, tax incremental financing district, Church Street, Maple Street, Peter Paul Hershey property, 238 Water Street, Laurel Park landfill, solar project, Amazon project, former recycling center, Rubber Avenue for our appliances, collective bargaining, chapter 89, and pending litigation, inviting in. Nobody.
Second motion.
Motion and a second to go into executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Text you.
Thank you. That's my
All day long.
All right, I'm gonna reconvene the regular meeting at 9:13. And coming out of executive session, we have one item. I will entertain a motion that I be authorized to enter into a collective bargaining agreement with United Public Service Employees Local 424-Unit 15, white collar, for the period July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2025, in accordance with the tentative agreement that was discussed in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? We don't want to say how great Emily and her team is, or
No, we already know that.
We know that, yeah.
We are awesome.
okay, all those in favor,
We had to bring it up.
Aye.
opposed? All right,
Motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:15 PM.
I second.
Amen.
all right.
Wait a minute.
Hallelujah.